Hello? Is anybody here?
What scares you? Maybe it's the dark, monsters, or maybe a serial killer. Whatever it is, most of us enjoy a good scare from time to time. But with a lot of talk about the new revamped Resident Evil series, we at The Underdogs thought it might be a good idea to give a review on the remake of Resident Evil 2. I'm JD, this is The Underdogs, and this review was co-wrote by my good friend Benjamin Williams. The story follows two main protagonists, Claire Redfield and Leon Kennedy. Both tales are connected but play independently from one another. Upon completion of the story with one character, you unlock a new game mode where you play as the other character. Claire enters the city to find her brother, whilst Leon is on his first day on the Raccoon City Police Force. Though the original game has been out for over 20 years, I will not go into the story details too much to avoid spoilers. Upon completion of the story with one character, you will unlock a new game mode where you get to play as the other character. However, you do start skipping the tutorial at the beginning the second time around.
Attention all citizens. You are advised to take shelter at the Raccoon City Police Station.
The inventory is made up of slots. When you first start the game you can't carry much, however this isn't a problem, as you won't pick up a lot to begin with. It is however important you collect every pouch you come across for giving that extra pocket room. This comes in real handy, as later on you will be limiting the weapons you carry for healing items and key items found along the way. Knowing what items you will need to progress and what can be left behind becomes a key aspect in moving from one area to another, as there is a chest in each safe room, and any item put in this chest will be accessible from other safe rooms along the way. So checking your map to see if there is a safe room en route to your next destination, so you don't have to carry, say, a key item, is a great way for freeing up your items in your inventory. Opting for the third person over the shoulder perspective over the static cameras of the original games and the first person view from Resident Evil 7, at first glance you would assume that this has more in common with the Resident Evil series between 4 and 6. But the movement feels much smoother and less tank-like compared to previous entries. Controlling your character feels tight and responsive, although it is purposefully restrictive in different ways. It uses tight corridors and hallways where even a couple of zombies can make a decent blockade. Learning how far that zombies can reach and lunge becomes key to navigating closed spaces. Saying that, if you unfortunately do get grappled by a zombie, there are many items that can get you out of jail free. A knife or a grenade become lifesavers, with a possibility to retrieve the knife if you do manage to get to the zombie you just killed it with. The game is beautiful. As dark as that sounds, the use of lighting helps create an atmosphere of pure dread. A few moments of well-lit safe room areas makes you feel at ease, so you really feel the two contrasting environments while travelling from one place to another. It's very good at letting your imagination fill in the gaps. For example, seeing a shadow being cast on a wall from a small light source around the corner, only to find that the human silhouette was just a small statue on a desk, was an experience of real fear. Realising the developers designed this just to mess with your head was awesome. It gets you, and you will love it. The locations in the game are more varied than I originally thought, but you will also be visiting other locations in Raccoon City, an underground sewer and a laboratory, each area bringing a new enemy type and their own unique visual style. The police station, I feel, is the most creepy due to poor visibility, tight corners and narrow passages, whilst the sewers feel more disgusting than terrifying, and the laboratory was interesting to see where this whole mess began and who is responsible. Guns feel powerful, dealing visible damage onto an enemy, but shooting a zombie directly in the head can be a hard target. As you aim, the reticle will tighten the longer you aim the gun. Giving that moment to pause before shooting is crucial to make every bullet count. Ammo is a precious resource in the game, and if you don't have to kill something and it can be avoided, it's best to do so. There is gunpowder in the game that allows you to make different types of ammo. Combining different types of powder makes different kinds of bullets. Finding that certain guns and certain ammo can take out different enemies easier means you should learn about the area and make sure you have the right weapons equipped. There are a range of enemies in the game, from the standard zombies to lickers, dogs, swamp creatures, Mr. X himself and more. The most numerous enemies are the zombies. Slow and stumbling on their own, they are not much of a threat. As a group, however, or accompanied by other monsters, they aren't to be taken lightly. When you first encounter Mr. X, he makes you feel powerless, in constant pursuit of you and forever hunting. Mr. X will chase you and not give up the chase until you make it to a safe room, or he loses you. Having a constant threat of Mr. X made me feel uneasy about leaving the sanctuary of the safe room. Hearing his big booming footsteps as he patrols the area around you, it's hard just daring yourself to step out of the room to progress the game. He does show up in some scripted events, but he is mostly effective at administering fear when you are unaware of his presence around, and you turn the corner and only to face him and the music swells and intensifies, trying desperately to find the nearest safe room or solve the puzzle while evading him. It is possible to temporarily down him, but I would often choose to save my ammunition and run. The puzzles in the game aren't hard to figure out. They basically boil down to find a certain item or code to unlock a door or a box, etc. Not too challenging, and with a little thought can be solved quite easily, but they do add character to the world and give you reason to explore every nook and cranny in the game. There is plenty to do in Resident Evil 2, from playing Leon and Claire 2 times each to see every part of the main story, and on completion you receive a ranking depending on your completion time and how many times you saved. So if you're a type of player who wants to go for the perfect playthrough, this is a great way to show off self-progress. Also, having a game mode where you get to play as other survivors that are connected to the main protagonists in the story gives you a very different perspective on the world that you have already sunk many hours into, and even though these stories are short, they feel as intense as the main game. Through most of the game, it puts you on the back foot. You feel under-equipped, underpowered, and are constantly fleeing from an enemy. Which in a horror game, that's exactly what you want. The story is enjoyable and the relationship between the characters is interesting to see, especially between Leon and Ada Wong. The plot as a whole is passable for the characters to have motivation to take action, but as good as the game is, the story is nothing groundbreaking. On the whole, when this game was released originally, the zombie theme was fresh and new. These days you can see a zombie game wherever you look, and this game still manages to stand on the highest tier as a fun, polished horror experience. If you haven't played this game and are on the fence about buying it, I highly recommend you do. Our verdict, 9 out of 10. And if you enjoyed that video, give us a like and a subscribe. Check out our website at www.theunderdogs.live and let us know what videos you'd like in the future. I've been JD, I hope you've enjoyed this and stay safe guys.